Stars were bright. I saw a girl with golden hair. I asked her to dance and she said yeah. We reeled and rocked and hopped and bopped and flipped and flopped, and then we stopped and then we started again.
Hello and welcome to Big Dumb Movie, where we talk about a different Big Dumb movie every episode. I'm your host Corey, and I'm here with my co-hosts Alan.
Hello.
And Steve.
Good evening.
Hey guys, how you doing tonight?
I'm good.
I'm good.
It's a Drop Dead Fred kind of night.
That's right, we watched Drop Dead Fred.
Well, hold on. I was good until I saw this movie.
Let's explore that in a second. Before we get into it, I wanted to say recently I was on a podcast called Spoilers, and I got to be like a special guest, and we talked about the movie Attack of the Clones. Anyone that listens to this show, all 5 of you, if you like this show, you'll like Spoilers. Check it out when it's released. It's pretty much available anywhere. So, yeah, listen to Spoilers and the episode on Attack of the Clones. You'll get to hear me. Were you guys on any big-name podcasts recently yourselves?
Yeah, let's brag a little bit about it.
I can't say that I have.
Were you there as a subject matter expert on Jango Fett?
Yeah, that's right.
No, he was the expert on Mace Windu.
I was the Kit Fisto guy. They had a Mace Windu guy. I was the Kit Fisto guy.
Taking the lesser characters.
Yeah. They have a person for every character.
They're like, okay, what's his origin story? Then I changed the subject.
We haven't even started this one yet. We're already talking about a different movie.
Yeah. It was pretty fun, though. Drop Dead Fred is the movie we watched, though. We just watched it, actually, and we're here to talk about it. I like to start with, our exposure to the movie. So I want to start with Steve. What was your experience with Drop Dead Fred?
I was 8 when this film came out. I saw it in a theater. I'm pretty sure I saw it with my mother and my grandmother at a theater in West LA. Could be misremembering that. In any case, I found it kind of oddly fascinating at the time. I liked it. I watched it a handful of times afterward on home video and on TV. But this is definitely one of those films that I clearly did not understand as an 8-year-old the first time I saw it. It took until I was a teenager to realize what I was actually watching and what was actually going on. It was like, holy shit, there's a whole layer to this movie I didn't get. And I suddenly understood why my grandmother was kind of uncomfortable at certain parts of it with an 8-year-old.
Grandma Bunce? The experience was kind of similar for me, except I don't think I saw it in theaters. I don't remember how this was exactly introduced to me. I'm pretty sure it's through my mom. She showed me a lot of movies as a kid. And I feel like I started watching this probably around the time it was available on VHS. And I absolutely loved this movie. And my brothers loved it too. I'm pretty sure they just liked anything that I liked. They're all younger than me. But yeah, we grew up on this movie. We watched the shit out of Drop Dead Fred. What about you, Alan?
I think I'm the odd man out here because I had zero exposure to this movie. I don't remember anything about it. I never saw it. I must have just
When did you hear about
totally missed it. And when you mentioned it, or Steve might have mentioned it once or twice before, but I knew literally zero about this movie.
Do you guys know anything about the lead, Rik Mayall? Excuse me.
Actually,
No, I do not.
Became a fan of his individually as I got older and learned about who he was. There's a show he was in English called The Outsiders that I know.
The Young Ones.
The Young Ones, thank you. The Young Ones. Yeah, I love that show. So, yeah.
You ever heard of The Young Ones, Alan?
No.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of history on this guy. This guy is a huge British comedian. Like, in the UK, this guy is ginormous. He's kind of like, I guess, Jerry Seinfeld equivalent for us in America. And he had a show called The Young Ones in the 80s, which was kind of like a UK version of It's Always Sunny. Not exactly, but it's kind of that similar vein, I'd say. I watched a little bit of it.
They have a very unique style of humor, though.
Yeah, it's
like
kind of like
Office.
over the top. They do things that like people couldn't actually do and get away with and continue to survive with these events happening around them. But anyway, yeah, this guy is huge, and he did a lot of other TV stuff. He didn't do too many movies. He did some. Yeah. This was his one, I think, American movie.
He was on a few episodes of Blackadder, wasn't he?
I don't know.
No?
Is he still alive?
No, unfortunately. So it's a sad story.
When did he pass away?
2014. Do you know anything about his death, Steve?
A little bit. I know that he had a big piece of property that he went out riding on an ATV in bad weather and ended up coming off of it. That the ATV ended up on top of him. That his wife initially ignored what was going on because she thought that he was joking. and then
Wait,
realized he
really?
was really bad. Yeah, she could see him crashed out one of the windows of their house, and thought that he was screwing around. So she didn't initially go to see what was happening, and he ended up being airlifted, and he survived, but it caused complications. And within a few years, I think complications of that injury ended up causing his death. But I don't remember the finer details beyond
Yeah,
that.
I didn't know all that. It's really sad, actually.
Yeah, on an
Yeah.
ATV, like it was an accident.
And it was a really crazy thing because he had his family there. His daughter and a friend of his daughter had been asking for him to take them out on the ATVs with him. And because the weather was so bad, he'd said no. So if they'd been on with him when he'd gone out, they would have gone off with him.
Oh man, that's a wild story.
All right.
Yeah. I watched a documentary on him, a BBC documentary that they put on YouTube. It didn't cover that end of things, just like his life and career, but yeah, he was a comedy legend in the UK.
Yeah.
And he did Drop Dead Fred in, what was the year, 1991?
91.
Yeah, we might be wrong, but whatever. I'm not going to look
I
it up
double
right now.
checked that one.
Oh,
It was
okay.
definitely 91. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely alive in '91, but I must have missed.
It didn't
that
make
one.
its way to your doorstep.
No, I missed that completely.
Drop Dead Fred wasn't a huge movie. It just was for kids like me that rewatched it. And I think there was a lot of kids our age, Steve, like around that time that would just rewatch this. That
Absolutely.
were really into that edgy kind of humor and the, you know.
If this came on TV when I was flipping channels around, I would absolutely have sat down pretty much every time I saw it. And I mean, I would have been playing with toys or something at the same time, but I would have absolutely watched it.
There's a lot of movies I haven't seen or seen parts of, but at the very least, I've seen the poster or I knew of it, or I've seen maybe a few parts of it. But this movie, I've never, zero.
Completely under the radar. Huh?
Completely, just for me, I missed it.
Well, what do you guys say we get right into the film?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Alan, do you remember how Drop Dead Fred opens up?
It starts with the girl and she's in her room.
Yeah, the young
Yeah,
Elizabeth.
she's in her room and she's about to go to sleep. And what does the mom ask her? She asks her
Well,
something?
the mom's reading her like a bedtime story,
Oh,
like
okay,
a fairy
yeah,
tale
yeah.
book, and she says like, and then the prince and the princess lived happily ever after. And the kid's response is like, oh, what a pile of shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the intro credits start rolling. It really sets up the tone for this movie. Like, this ain't your grandpappy's kid's movie, you know?
Yes, she whispered. I will be your princess.
Did they live happily ever after?
Of course, Elizabeth.
How do you know?
Because she was a good little girl. If she had been naughty, the prince would have run away.
What a pile of shit.
Yeah, like it's edgy because she said, what a pile of shit.
Drop Dead Fred is edgy as fuck, okay?
Yeah, and then it goes into that weird, like, cartoon montage with, like, random shit happening.
Yeah, all kinds of like violent imagery and stuff.
Yeah, like there's, like, pirates and people fighting and cavemen. It's
Yeah.
like a random montage.
Green hands on a typewriter for some reason. So we eventually get to Elizabeth all grown up, and we see that probably, I don't know, the worst day of her life unfold. Do you want to talk about it, Steve?
Absolutely. So intro plays, and we get Elizabeth. She's sitting in her car. She's practicing a speech. It becomes pretty clear after a moment she's practicing speaking to an estranged husband. And it turns out that he is a Jaguar salesperson at a dealership. She's outside the dealership waiting for him.
How much did Jaguar pay to have their emblem shown or to be in that movie?
You know, I'd never thought about it.
Because that's a pretty prestigious, like, it's Jaguar.
Right? I mean, it may have been,
$50.
Right? It may have been one of those cases where I don't want to associate or imply that I associate Jaguar with, like, scummy people. But, yeah, I think it was like he's like this kind of yuppie, early 90s yuppie scumbag dude hawking Jaguars to people, to pretty women.
That would hurt Jaguar's image.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's the thing is I don't think that they were in the movie of Jaguar's volition. I think that the producers chose the brand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It could have gone down that way for sure.
Right.
So her husband works there, and Elizabeth is, like you said, she's practicing forgiving him because he cheated on her.
Yeah.
So she's going to forgive him because she can't be alone. She just wants to be with him. And she goes to talk to him, and he somehow says that it's her idea that they be separated and that he go live with Annabella, who's the woman
Annabella.
that he cheated on her with.
On their couch.
Yeah, on their couch, of all things.
Finish what I want to say.
Well,
to
you
okay?
agreed.
I mean, you did more than agree. It was your idea, and you were right. You were absolutely right. We can't go on.
Wait, when was it my idea?
The best thing is for me to go. Go and live with Annabella.
Oh, Charles, I don't think I said that.
Yes.
I did?
Yes.
Annabella. Is that her name? Oh, God, I didn't know that. All I know is what you did with her on our sofa.
So her husband basically says, no, I'm leaving, and it was your idea. And she's so, I guess, like, weak that she agrees with it. And she calls her best friend, who's Carrie Fisher. She leaves the scene, goes to a payphone, calls Carrie Fisher. And while she's on the phone, some guy smashes the window of her car, steals her purse out of it, and then another guy walks by and steals the car.
I mean, the whole thing kind of started off being a reminder of the fact that this is 1991, that she had to stop to find a payphone to call her friend.
I thought you meant with the crime.
Well, that too, you know.
That was a great touch that the first guy doesn't steal it, but then this second guy's like, oh, look, free car. Like, someone already smashed the window. Like, I'll steal it.
They were in cahoots, I say.
Right.
So after that happens, she walks back to her job because this is during her lunch break, and she works in a courtroom. What does she do?
I think she's just a stenographer.
Stenographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, there's some court case going on, and she gets fired right in the middle of it. So she loses her husband, her car, her purse, and her job, as she explains.
Just see the trailer like Lizzie's having a bad day.
It probably is like that.
Right.
I made a note that she never went back for her car, or seemed to care, or tried to find her car.
Oh, yeah.
She never went to the police. She never called
Impound
anyone.
yard.
Her car's just gone. Oh, it just got stolen.
She has bigger problems coming soon.
And then your car getting stolen? That's a pretty big problem.
Not when Fred gets in the way.
I'd say Fred's a bigger problem.
And not to get ahead of ourselves, but she seems to ignore every problem.
Yeah.
Everything that happens just somehow gets...
It is a world of little consequence, my friend.
Yeah. Zero
Let's
consequence.
give her some credit. She hasn't sunk anybody's house.
Yet. But her car's stolen and she just doesn't care at all.
So she cleans out her desk, I assume, and she's like leaving work, and she bumps into an old friend, Mickey Bunce. Alan, how would you describe Mickey Bunce?
He's almost like the guy from Leprechaun.
90s hot guy?
Yeah, 90s hot guy.
Yeah.
He's like blonde and he's like that haircut and...
Yeah, he looks like he's in a boy band.
Yeah, like a early 90s boy band.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's way too reasonable about everything. But we'll learn more about Mickey later. This is just kind of the introduction. Like, this guy exists, and he knows her from their childhood, apparently.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be anti-Charles or the opposite of Charles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because her husband is clearly a piece of shit.
From the very beginning.
Yeah. So when she goes home, she lives with her husband, obviously, but he's not there. But she finds her mom home at her place, and her mom says, "You're coming back to move with me." And it's that typical, like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going home with you. And then it cuts, and she goes home with her.
Well, I just to go back half a step, because I'm remembering looking at my little notes here. Mickey reminds her in the courthouse of Drop Dead Fred.
Oh, yeah.
Something she'd kind of forgotten about, a childhood thing she wasn't really aware of, and then he goes, well, don't you remember what you did to my grandmother? You know, and then she's like, oh my God, Drop Dead Fred. And she remembers throwing paint on his grandmother, and I think they talk about some other examples of what, oh yeah, she shaved the cat. She shaved Mickey's cat with Drop Dead Fred.
That's right, they shaved his pussy.
The paint one was pretty funny, because it's like a whole big... like cannon of like yellow paint.
Yep.
Like, where did she get that? And that's like so much. It's just a huge splash of just paint.
So it's Mickey that really reintroduces the concept of Fred for the audience's sake, and he also specifically foreshadows a little bit by mentioning the fact that he's got a daughter who's just like Lizzie was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Has mental issues, apparently.
But then we get the mother. The mother shows up at Lizzie's apartment and demands that Lizzie go home with her back to her childhood home. It's the first kind of glimpse that her mother is this super domineering woman.
Yeah.
Who treats Lizzie like a child and expects her to do what she's told.
What does Drop Dead Fred call her? The Mega Beast?
The Mega Beast or the Mega Bitch?
Yeah, depending on the scene.
Right.
The Mega Bitch.
The Mega Bitch!
Calls her several names. Yeah.
I mean, the mom is pretty harsh, man.
Yeah.
She's brutal.
Right.
Don't you think, Alan?
Yeah, she's pretty bad. The first thing I thought, and I guess I was wrong because I looked it up, She looked a lot like the actress who played Julie Cooper in the OC. If you've guys any OC,
I don't know the OC.
Any OC fans out there? I swore I was like, that's Julie Cooper, but then it wasn't. She just looked like her.
So they go back to the mom's house, and Elizabeth finds her old toys in her old room, and she's kind of going through them. She's got a lot of stuffed animals in there, and she finds a Jack-in-the-Box that has been taped shut. Now, the Jack-in-the-Box, as is explained later, contains Fred. So she sets the Jack-in-the-Box down. She doesn't really open it, but she wakes up in the middle of the night, and the Jack-in-the-Box is just kind of like whirling on its own. She takes the tape off of it, and out pops a little furry green ball. This furry green ball transforms into her long-lost childhood imaginary friend, Fred, played by Rik Mayall, and he is bananas. Alan, you just watched this movie for the first time. How would you describe this guy?
Oh, completely random. Just makes no sense. Jumping from subject to subject. Just saying all sorts of wacky things, going in every direction.
What happened to you? Look at you. You're all older. You're even uglier. Ugh! I'm sorry, I'm going to have to be sick all over you immediately. Lie down. Hang on. Where's all the dolls? Aha, the dolls. Hello, Jemima. Hello, Angelique. Hello. You're going to die. Mr. Pooh! Hello! You die too! No! Yes!
So it's basically Rik Mayall.
It is.
Right.
No predictability. He's just talking about something, and the next second it could be something else.
What does he do then, Steve, when he shows up?
The first thing he does when he shows up. Oh, so he and Lizzie kind of reintroduce each other to each other. He's disgusted at the fact that she's an adult now, but he then drags her downstairs immediately, where after he proceeds to walk outside, smear his shoes with dog crap, then come back into the house walking on his hands, and smears his feet all over this immaculately kept formal living room that Lizzie's mother has recently had completely cleaned and has warned Lizzie that no one's allowed to even go into.
Yeah, it's like white everything.
Like a little chain link thing that says like warning.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the room no one's allowed to go in.
Wait, can we go back a step? Because I forgot about the whole scene where he destroys the stuffed animal.
Yeah.
And that scene that was so over dramatic, all I could think about was like them filming that and how crazy he has to be for the camera. Can you imagine everyone's like, okay, ready, go. And then he has to just act all insane, like biting into stuffed animals and filming that scene where...
Tear him apart.
Yeah, he's like tearing them apart with his teeth and there's just stuff going everywhere and he's just the most dramatic acting he could do.
There we have it. Dramatic acting. Be dramatic, Rik Mayall. He just starts biting the heads off of stuffed chimpanzees.
Overly exaggerated. He's just going crazy.
Oh, for sure. He's insane. He's a complete nutbag. I mean, it's hard to describe how insane Drop Dead Fred is. He's just all over the place. He's like a guy that's like really hyped up on meth that has the mindset of a little kid that has ADD as well. It's just like all these things compounded together and you have Drop Dead Fred. Plus he has like powers. He's not real, but he has powers,
A dangerous combination.
Yeah. All right, so they go downstairs like you said, and he gets the dog shit everywhere, all over this white living room.
All right.
I got some dog poo right here. All alongside, all up here. Lovely, smelly dog poo.
And he is going to write "Mother Sucks" on the carpet as well with the inkwell that he found, but he's convinced not to. And Elizabeth says, "Let's play hide and seek" to get him to go away, basically. And she starts counting, right? And then he goes and hides.
This is where she counts from 4. He tells her to count to 1,000,000.
Yep.
And she starts from 4 and counts to 5.
That's it.
On the carpet. I know. Yeah, that's right. Mother sucks.
No, wait a minute. I have a better idea. Let's play a game.
Game?
Yeah, a game. Like we used to in the old days.
A game? Okay, great.
How about hide and seek?
Great! I love hide and seek.
Great.
Okay, hide your eyes and count to 1,000,000. I'm gonna hide in a place where you'll never ever find me. Bye-bye.
4, 5.
And after he leaves the room, she's like, wait, what am I doing? It's like she has a moment of realization, like, holy shit. There is dog shit everywhere. This room is now destroyed. And she goes to bed. I think she kind of thinks it's a dream, right?
There should be a version of that movie where she actually counts to 1,000,000 and the movie's like 20 years long or something. How long would it take her to count to 1,000,000?
1,000,000 seconds?
Well, there should be a movie like that's 1,000,000. There should be a cut of that where she actually counts.
Do you think it would be better than the cut we got?
Oh, absolutely. I did not like
This is Alan's fan edit of Drop Dead Fred.
Not a fan.
Are you a fan of the next morning when the mom finds the dog shit everywhere and starts cleaning it up and is like, what did you do to my living room? And she's like, sorry about that.
Casually. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm gonna pour myself a cup of coffee while you're
Just keep
Christine
cleaning.
living
Don't
room
let
has
me
dog crap all over.
pretend
it.
I'm not here.
Oh, you cleaning that up? Great.
Yeah.
It's been a rough morning. I need some coffee.
But Fred immediately shows back up and, sees the mega bitch, as he puts it.
Oh my God! Is it? It is! The mega bitch! Let me at her! Get me an axe! No, get me a chainsaw! I'm gonna slice her into tiny pieces!
And somehow gets his head stuck in a refrigerator.
The most, like an airtight fridge that he cannot seem to get open no matter how much force he uses with his powers. Like the fridge is just shut. It's like locked.
You gotta remember, Fred is a figment of her imagination. Let's talk about that for a sec.
Well,
Is Fred real or not?
Well, that's kind of what I was mentioning a few minutes ago, where there's stuff about the film that I didn't get as a kid, and there's a scene in the area we're talking about where she ends up outside with Fred, and he specifically tells her, "I only appear when you're unhappy."
Right.
And like when I was a kid, as an 8-year-old, when I saw this, one thing I absolutely remember, and for years afterward, I was completely convinced Fred was physically real, and completely convinced that other people just couldn't see him, and that he was actually the one doing all this stuff.
I think I was of the same mindset, for sure.
And then, sometimes...
That's what I'm thinking.
Right, 13, 14, 15, suddenly I'm watching it at some point, and I'm like, well, wait a second, no. This is her imaginary friend. He's come back since childhood because she's now under all this stress and back to dealing with her overbearing mother. Clearly, she's doing all these things, and Fred is just the part of her brain that's helping her deal with her stress and doing all these, because it's completely countered her. It's like a psychotic break, right? She's this buttoned-down good girl, but she's just imploding inside. But between her husband and her mother and her job and her car, and like she was relying on Fred even as a kid when it was just her mom. So now he's back and he's her outlet through which to do all this destructive stuff. I think it's her doing it all.
Absolutely.
Why would she imagine him getting his head stuck in the fridge?
Right? Because he's her polar opposite. He's just goofy, he's funny, he's doing
To
silly,
be
stupid
wacky,
things.
like, oh,
Right.
she's like, oh, that's funny.
It's
I'm
the
just gonna
part of her
imagine
that
that.
wants to act out but can't.
Phoebe Cates said in an interview that Fred is her repressed masculine side.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's pretty masculine getting your head stuck in the fridge.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I'm fine.
You ever go home and have a beer, then get your head stuck in the fridge?
It impresses women, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. After I chew some tobacco, I get my head stuck in the fridge, and then I drive my truck to work. I always back in.
I think after this, there's a part where Fred mentions, they talk about Charles, and he said that once she's happy, he can go home.
Exactly.
But then they never mention, like, what is his home? Where does he go? What, home? What does that mean? They never make any, as far as I remember.
Have you seen that South Park episode where they have the land of imagination?
I think I've seen like a couple scenes or.
It's all explained there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the
So
tie-in.
now we got to watch South Park.
Yeah.
20 years
We're
later.
gonna tie into Drop Dead
It's like
Fred.
when you watch the Star Wars prequels and you have to read like 15 books so that they make sense. You have to watch that one South Park episode for this to make sense.
That was the stupidest thing about the second Matrix. If you hadn't like played the video game and watched the entire Animatrix, you had the third of the movie made no sense. But yeah.
So there is a way to have the Matrix sequels make sense, huh?
The second one can make slightly more sense if you play an entire PS2 game and watch all of the Animatrix, and I think maybe also read a tie-in comic.
Cutscenes included.
That's because like it explains where those two weird twins came from and all this other stuff, and like yeah. Right.
Okay, we can talk about this. You know what? The fucking Matrix had a perfect ending. It's one of the most perfect endings I've seen in a movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is the end. Yeah, the first one. It ends, and I'm like, okay, nothing more needs to be told.
The sequels are not necessary ending.
Yeah.
Like with Terminator 2.
Yeah, Terminator 2 also had a perfect ending.
Right.
But I just love in the Matrix, like, he discovers he's the one, and what does that mean? Well, it means he can basically do anything in the Matrix.
Right.
They kind of retcon that a little bit. It's like, well, he can just stop bullets and he can fly. The two things you saw. But in the movie, they made it seem like he can do anything.
Right.
And yeah, nothing gets past Neo. That's it. Like, what can they do against a guy that can do anything? And then they kind of make it, well, he's, you know, he can still get hurt and stuff. It's fucking stupid, man. The Matrix should have ended there definitively. That movie is great. The sequels are trash.
And the third one was worse than the second.
Yeah.
They just compounded it.
If the Wachowskis are listening to this.
You guys haven't done anything good since the first movie.
We're calling you out, Wachowskis.
Right? Like, Speed Racer
SummerSlam.
too. Sorry.
You know where to find us.
Right.
BigDumbMovie.com.
Write me an angry letter. I don't give a shit.
No, they're all right. The Wachowski siblings, they're cool. But they're sequels. I mean, come on. I mean, how much money were they offered? What are you going to say? No?
Yeah,
Studio's like, we'll give you...
millions?
Yeah, name a number, we'll give it to you.
What
like,
was the other
okay.
They did the 3 Matrix movies and Speed Racer.
Speed
There's
Racer.
something else.
V for Vendetta, I think.
No, was that them?
Oh, they did Jupiter Rising. Or
Jupiter Rising.
Ascending?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
V for
Okay.
Vendetta I really liked.
I did too.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if they did that or not.
Yeah. I don't think that was them, but whatever.
Okay, well, back to Drop Dead
And
Fred.
Fred.
All right.
Yeah.
So in Drop Dead Fred says he's going to go home when she's happy, and she's like, okay, well, are you going to help me? And he says, yeah. She's like, you never help me, though. You always make things worse. And he gets mad, and he goes, he proceeds to commit suicide. He runs into the street, a fire truck runs him over, and, you know, he's seemingly dead, but of course, being imaginary, not really.
That could make me happy would be getting Charles back.
All right, then. Well, let's get Charles back, then. I'll help you.
Okay, you'll help me.
Yeah, I'll help you.
When have you ever helped me?
All the time. That's what I do. I'm Fred. I help you.
You've never helped me. Fred.
Excuse me. Yes, I have.
Did not.
Did so.
You did not.
I did.
You did not.
I did.
Did not.
Yes, I did.
Did not. Did not. Did not.
I did. I did.
Did not.
I did. I did. I did.
Did not.
Yes, I.
Did not.
Right, that's
Did
it.
not.
I hate you.
Ow!
Goodbye forever. I hope you die horribly.
I think it's pretty great, though. Like, he's like a little kid. He gets mad. He kicks her in the shin. He's like, well, I'm going away then. You're never going to see me again. I'm going to go kill myself. And he runs in front of a truck, and the truck runs him over. Great.
But you don't want me anymore? Well, fine. Well, then I'll just throw myself in front of the first fire truck that I can see.
Fred,
You're going to be sorry.
go ahead.
Goodbye.
So in that scene, we kind of get a flashback. We get the first of a few, and she remembers when she was a little kid, and Fred woke her up one night and said, we're going to play burglars, and we're going to rob this house that we're in right now. So they go downstairs, and they just start wrecking the house. Like, they start destroying things, smashing things.
They use a trash bag as like their burglar sack.
Yeah, it's a burglar bag.
Yeah, the burglar bag. It's just a
They
trash
steal
bag.
silverware, the phone, and the parents hear it, and they think they're actually being robbed, so they call the cops.
Well, they try to call the cops, but when they steal the phone downstairs, it takes out the phone line.
Yeah, in the whole house.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Which makes no
That's not the
sense.
way
Like
it works.
they took down one phone. He's like, the phones are down.
Both of us have. I've worked on a phone system before. Each one's on its own circuit. It's not how it works. Like,
They do get through to the cops, though, because the cops show up, and the little girl's in front of the house, and the cops show up, and they go into the house. They ignore the kid on the lawn for some reason, but they go into the house, and the dad thinks the cops inside are now the burglars, so he like tackles one of them down the stairs, and then he gets arrested.
Quick stop there. When they go into the house, they show the police officer kick in the door.
Yeah.
But he doesn't like even kick it. He puts his foot straight through it.
Yeah. He kicks his foot like through the door, like it creates a hole, but it doesn't like open the door.
He like just put like it's like a plywood. He just puts his like foot through the
Yeah.
door.
It's like he's in a karate class.
Right? The only house in town that's got like a press board front door.
Yeah.
Officer just puts his foot through it. Just we're coming in. I thought that was pretty funny.
Me too. And then the dad gets arrested.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the dad gets arrested for ransacking his own house.
Last time we see him.
Well, he gets arrested for, I guess, assaulting a police officer.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. It's the movie. But
I'm pretty sure you're not even allowed to do that by accident.
yeah, but it was like an honest mistake, right? You'd be like, well, it's dark.
He just shrugs at the cop. Come on. Sorry, buddy. In other circumstances, we would have shot you. Trust me.
All right, so the dad's gone. He's arrested.
And then it flashes forward again to the 1991, and the mom says, "We got to get you back with your husband." That's what the mom is trying to do, I think. I mean, she says she's trying to do that. So they have a little makeover montage.
Oh, the 90s.
Very 90s, very early 90s makeover montage.
Yeah,
with the makeup at the mall and the.
It's one of those
pads.
montages where they show a computer screen of a person with different hairstyles. You see that in movies a lot. It's like, this is what you could be. And of course, the mom makes her look exactly like her, including wearing the same exact outfit.
Yeah.
All right, so post makeover montage, they go back to Elizabeth's house. Oh, no. They go back.
This is where she goes to visit her friend, right?
Not yet. They actually go back to the mom's house and they find a note from Charles.
Oh, yeah.
He left a note at the mom's house saying, like, I want to get back with you. Meet me at home to talk, right? So she goes back to her house and finds that he's not there, and it was actually Fred that left the note, which means that she actually wrote the note.
Right.
Because, Fred is not real. Fred is in her mind. So she wrote this fake note saying that, Charles wants to get back with her, and she goes home, finds Fred there, and he says it was a prank.
We're dead.
Hey, it takes more than a fire truck to stop drop-dead Fred.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to leave because I'm expecting Charles.
Ooh, expecting Charles? That's important. I better go then, hadn't I? Mm-hmm. There's just one little problem. Charles isn't coming.
What do you mean?
I wrote the note. Haven't got a husband, got a stupid haircut. Ooh, look at my horrid stupid haircut, everybody. Looks just like a mother. Another little mega beast. Hey, it was only a joke.
This guy's pretty sick.
He is. I mean, he's like, I need you to be happy so I can go home, but also I'm just gonna like fuck with you and mess your life up.
Yeah.
Like, well, which do you want? You want to go home or you want to make it worse?
I'm going to put you through a little bit of emotional turmoil as a prank. It's a joke. Don't you hate it when people say, like, they do something fucked up and they're just like, it was a joke?
Joke's like, no.
You can't just do anything bad and say it's a joke to make it okay.
Yeah, like a joke has a punchline and doesn't, like, negatively impact you.
Yeah.
You can't be mad I shot you and robbed your house. It was a joke.
Yeah, I was just joking. We're good, right?
It's that meme. It's just a prank, bro.
Yeah.
It's just a prank, bro.
So this is the point when she tries to get away from Fred. So in the middle of the night when she's sleeping, she goes over to Carrie Fisher's house.
Right.
Now, Carrie Fisher's house is a boat. It's one of those boat houses that I also have seen in movies from this era a lot.
Which we later find out was classified as a boat condominium.
Yeah, it's a
Large
boat
house.
Yeah. Steve, why don't you tell us about what goes down when she arrives at Carrie's door?
She goes pounding on Carrie's door, and Carrie answers kind of flustered and starts to basically try to tell Lizzie repeatedly, you can't be here right now. Lizzie kind of forces her way in without thinking. She's not being malicious, but she's too into her own business. And then it turns out that Carrie Fisher's got some sex-crazy dude with her upstairs in her bedroom.
She calls him an animal.
She calls him an animal. He looks like he's a gray-haired 65-year-old dude who looks like he'd be way more interested in like a pipe and a quiche. I don't, but okay, apparently this dude's an animal.
He looks like he plays a lot of golf.
Yeah,
They make a stupid reference where she's like, what do you think, wool or paws and tails? She's like, duh. What does she say?
She says, he's an animal. You mean he goes all night?
Yeah.
Hey! Are you coming back?
I'll be right up, Mer.
He's such an animal.
You mean he goes all night?
No, what do you think I mean? He shits in the corner, he eats with his paws?
Yeah.
Right. It's like so dumb. It's like, what? Why would you say that?
But she ends up relinquishing and letting Lizzie spend the night on her couch.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, based on the subtle things we see in the movie, that Murray, the guy, is Carrie Fisher's boss. By the way, Carrie Fisher's character name is Janie, I believe.
Janie.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure she's fucking her boss. And her boss is also married to another woman.
You get that kind of a couple scenes later.
Yeah, because his wife's out of town apparently.
We needed that detail.
Yeah. Anyway, so she stays there, right?
Yes.
Now she stays the night at Carrie Fisher's house, and wakes up the next morning to find what, Alan?
What did she find? Her hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drop Dead Fred cut her hair in the middle of the night.
Yeah, well, she did that. Right? Everything turns out she did all this.
We got to keep things in perspective here. This is a woman losing her mind.
Yeah, that's really the part's lost on the children, man. This is a woman who was losing her shit.
Yes.
Now, on that note, I actually thought, I haven't seen this, but when I was watching it, I thought they were going to show a montage at the end of her doing everything without Fred there.
Oh,
To show,
like Fight Club, yeah.
Like show what really happened. I thought they were going to show how it went down.
Every day, you're taking one step toward becoming Drop Dead Fred.
But turns out they didn't, which I didn't know what to expect.
Oh.
It could have been a more Fight Clubby movie. It's somewhere between. It's somewhere between the movie Bogus and the movie Fight Club.
Bogus.
Yeah, you guys remember? Bogus was
Absolutely.
essentially another movie of the same concept with Haley Joel Osment, Alan's favorite actor.
Yeah.
No, my favorite actor is Jaden Smith.
Oh, that's right.
What was the one called with Ariana Richards and the dorky high school kid, and she's like the hot cheerleader, and eventually she ends up with him? Angus.
No idea.
Angus.
I never saw Angus.
Yeah.
Never saw that either.
My brain goes weird places.
It was on my list. I remember when it came out, I saw the trailer. I was like, this movie's for me. Never got around to seeing it.
I will admit this, hoping she'll eventually hear this podcast. I have an unending crush on Ariana Richards, and that was really the main reason I went to see that movie when it came out. So,
Ariana Richards, if you're listening, our email is bigdumbmovie@gmail.com, and just mark it attention Steve. I'll make sure it gets routed to the right place.
Right, if you've got a husband, I'm sorry.
So this is the part when, after she cuts her hair, she starts to somehow sink the boat, or how does that go down?
All right, so this is the way it goes down.
Oh, she tells Fred to fix it.
Well, she wakes up, so she has a cup of coffee, she starts looking at the water, and she sees a speedboat go by.
Oh, yeah.
And she thinks it's Charles in the speedboat, which it isn't because it's credited as a different actor in the credits. Mm-hmm. I caught that as a kid. Anyway, she thinks that's Charles on a speedboat, so she starts taking Carrie Fisher's houseboat to kind of like pursue him a little bit.
She's going to pursue a speedboat on a houseboat.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Then she's gonna establish a boarding party and take over. But she tries to chase him down, and Fred shows up, and Fred just starts pushing buttons. He starts button mashing the fucking controls of this boat. Then he goes to the engine room, gets a wrench, and just starts smashing like
the gauges.
Yeah, smashing in gauges,
smashing everything. Like, I'm helping.
I'm helping.
Yeah, he's just breaking things.
Unfortunately, Carrie Fisher's houseboat sinks because of all the damage that Fred/Elizabeth has done.
Wait, okay, so let's go back to that again, because that means that was her smashing it.
Yeah.
She had the wrench and she was smashing. She sunk the
I
boat.
guess so. Yeah.
She destroyed that.
She did.
She has psychotic breaks. Like,
yeah.
legitimately, she has psychotic breaks, and Fred's just the personality through which she's doing it.
And I got that, but then that makes you think, so that was her smashing the gauges, like with the wrench and breaking the houseboat. And as we talked about, and I'll mention probably several more times, there's just no consequence in this universe.
I mean, they don't talk about it for a long time, but it does come back up later.
Yeah.
So after she sinks the house, I assume she swims to shore. It doesn't show that.
Yeah.
But she walks to Carrie Fisher's work, who's in the middle of like some board meeting where they're talking about like insurance policies and stuff. And she takes her out, and she's like, what does she say to her, Alan?
She asks her, she says, "Do you remember your house?" Which is a crazy...
It's extremely ominous.
Yeah.
You remember your house?
I don't even know how I'd react if someone said that to me. Like, what could happen, or what would happen if you just had to say that?
Nothing good. That comes out.
Nothing good.
She goes, yeah? I remember my fucking house? Fuck you getting at, you lunatic?
Yeah, what the fuck happened? Why would you say that?
Whoa, I have a house?
What's happened?
I have some bad news for you.
More?
Well, remember your house?
Yeah.
It sank.
What?
I didn't mean for it. Drop Dead Fred just... He was way out of control.
What do you think, that I have an imaginary friend clause in my boat insurance?
Janie, I'm so sorry.
She says, she tells her it sank, and that Drop Dead Fred did it. I think she handles it pretty well for the first minute or so, until she also has kind of a psychotic episode. She doesn't do what most people would do, which would be to attack the person telling you this, but she proceeds to attack Fred. Well, she tries to.
Fred shows up in the meeting room.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth points out that Fred is there. So then Carrie Fisher, what was her name in the movie?
Janie.
Janie grabs the chair and she's like, fine, I'm going to kill him or I'm going to take care of this. And then in the middle of everyone, she drags it out to the lobby or the hallway. And she starts pretending to fight Fred, but Fred's not there. He's behind her.
Yeah, Fred's gotten out of the chair, but she acts like she's grabbing him and they're having a struggle. She throws him on the ground and she starts stepping on him and then hitting him with her shoe.
She's having this whole acting scene where she's beating up Fred, and then it shows her doing nothing, it's dead air, and it shows her strangling nothing.
Yeah.
It's a really confusing moment, though. It's do you actually believe this thing is real, or are you doing this for you? Are you ruining your reputation and getting yourself fired for the benefit of your friend? Because that's what's going to happen.
Just sunk your house.
Right.
Maybe she does believe it because she's into all this weird 90s metaphysical spirituality that she...
Right. I mean, it's just she acts like she actually believes that Fred's there, and then goes apeshit in front of all of her coworkers in the middle of a meeting in the hallway while they're watching, and then blurts out, as you were getting to a minute ago, that he ruined her ability to have sex with her boss while his wife is out of town.
Yeah, she says it in front of everyone. I don't know if you caught this, but after she says that, it cuts to Murray, the guy,
right?
And the guy standing beside him, and one of the guys looks at him and smiles. Yeah, you're fucking Carrie Fisher. Yeah, buddy.
In that same scene, when she first starts acting crazy, they ask her what she's doing. The classic, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then she says, I'm running for Congress?
Yeah.
What are you doing, Miss Shagru?
I'm running for Congress. What does it look like I'm doing?
But there's nobody there.
It's because he's invisible. Idiot! Die! You're a dead little man!
Did I miss... Is that sound like a joke? Did I miss something? Am I dumb? What does that mean?
Just being facetious. So I'm running for Congress.
What does you idiot? Did that mean anything? You could... What? Why would you say that?
Right.
That's what I'm confused about. That's what she says?
I'm running for Congress. What does it look like I'm doing?
Are all congressmen crazy or something I'm not
she's
missing?
just trying to be ridiculous.
I'm just running for Congress. Oh, okay.
Yeah. What does it look like I'm doing, you fucking idiot?
Okay. All right.
So after that whole incident, somewhat later in the day, Elizabeth meets up with the guy we talked about earlier, Mickey Bunce, 90s hot guy.
Oh, she meets him for lunch.
Yeah, they go have a lunch at an Italian place.
She meets him for lunch after her car has been stolen and she has sunk in a houseboat.
Yeah, the day prior, the car was stolen and her purse, and her husband left. And this day, she sunk her friend's house. So she is losing her mind.
Yeah.
And it is very visibly apparent in this scene.
So this is the scene where they're having lunch and, yeah, you see her start... She pours the water on herself.
Yeah.
And
she starts doing crazy things. And to her, Fred is controlling her hands. Fred grabs her arms and is making her do weird shit, pour the water on herself. She raises her arm for no reason.
The guy's trying to ignore her, but it's clear, and he's like, what's going on? And
yeah, and he's not as taken aback as one would be. He is such a weird, weirdly nice person. He's so plasticky and weird. He's like, why are you doing that? And she's like, oh, well, I'm crazy. And he's like, wow, that's really great.
wow.
Okay. Why did you do that?
Disgusting. I'm crazy.
You are crazy in the most wonderful way. God, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could do those kind of things.
I like you. You're so cool.
Yeah. He's the only person in the world that would react that way.
I'll try being crazy too.
Yeah, and he starts reacting the same way, of the same thing she's doing. He starts throwing his food around and breaking shit just like she's doing because I don't know. I think he's like weirdly turned on by it. Like he's like, ooh, a crazy chick, huh? Yeah.
He's some weird ass guy.
And she is 1991 Phoebe Cates. I mean, this is prime time Phoebe Cates.
Peak Cates.
This might be my favorite line of the movie in this scene is when he tells her that he loves how she sings Houseboats.
Sorry. No. Look, don't apologize. I love being with you. I love the way you cut your hair. I love the way you sing Houseboats.
He says that I love how you sing Houseboats. Like, how did he know about that? What kind of back-ass words, like, weird compliment is that? I love how you sing Houseboats.
What kind of psychotic behavior at that point does a woman have to get up to for you to not be interested? Like,
he is clearly wanting to go home with her, get tied up, have his house destroyed by her, get whipped, and you know the rest.
Do you think you could beat me up and sink my house?
Yeah.
Like, that's really what turns me on.
Yeah. Can I put that on Match.com?
Yeah.
That'd be a good one for oh god, what's the hookup app?
Tinder.
Thank you. It'd be a good one for Tinder. It's like loves to sink houses.
Yeah, we can make a fake like Phoebe Cates profile.
Oh, that'd be great.
I'm gonna sleep with you and then destroy your
Well,
house.
I mean, given what she looked like, I would bet $100 on record right now that we would get responses from men who had no idea who she was, didn't read the profile. You put the bikini pic from Ridgemont High on her profile, absolutely we'll get responses.
So many super likes.
Right.
Kate's still alive. Do you think she'd like?
She's still alive.
Oh my god, yeah, she's only like in her early 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's married to Kevin Kline.
She is?
Absolutely she is. Or she was at one point anyway. They may have split up at this point, but yeah.
So Elizabeth and Fred, they have a little bit of a fight after this whole incident where she says, "You're ruining my life." They're in the middle of a mall.
Right.
Yeah, they fight at the mall in front of like the classical music performance.
Yeah, there's like
at the mall.
Like John Williams Orchestra is like they're playing in the mall. No, it's not anything that big, but you know, there's a small band playing some classical music. They have a fight, and she says, I need you to like get out of my life forever. I am crazy, and this needs to stop now. So he disappears, only to immediately reappear as one of the violinists. And she walks up to the violinist, says, "I told you to leave," and Fred doesn't say anything. So she just starts, doing the old 90s purse hit like we talked about last time.
We talked about that, the purse hit.
Yeah.
Just going to pummel you up with these bricks in my purse.
Yeah.
Why I never.
It's a small purse, too.
Yeah. So now we go, we have a third charge on the many. She's assaulted this musician.
Yeah.
You find out that the Drop Dead Fred's the violinist, and she's like attacking him.
Yeah, and then it of course turns into the person that it actually is, who's just being assaulted by Phoebe Cates.
It's really a movie about a woman with psychosis having a progressive breakdown and doing a series of illegal things.
Yes, it is, featuring Rik Mayall.
What about?
I just want to say Mayall.
What about Falling Down? Isn't that kind of similar? To Michael? Well, not really, but
a little bit. I see what you mean, though.
Doesn't he do that in Falling Down?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just one long freak out, really.
Joel Schumacher's Falling Down.
Joel Schumacher. It's probably one of the few really good movies he's ever directed.
Yeah. Before the Batmans, we had Falling Down.
So
some
now,
people hate, but I love.
Absolutely.
So yeah, now she's assaulted this guy who she thought was Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, I mean, shit has finally gone too far for this woman. Her mom takes her to a doctor finally, right? So she goes to a doctor's office who specializes in this kind of shit. And while she's waiting in the waiting room, her and Drop Dead Fred are there, and they encounter other imaginary friends. Well, not they, but Fred does, right? There's other kids in this waiting room, and they all have imaginary friend problems. And each kid has their own respective imaginary friend with them, and Fred can see them.
It's Go to Hell Herman.
Yes.
And Bozo Head.
Velcro Head.
Velcro Head?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it said Bozo Head.
Bozo Head might have been one of the guys, but one of them is definitely Velcro Head.
Okay, Velcro Head, and who was the wrestler? There was like a third one. I don't know
his name.
Did they mention his name?
They do real quick, but I didn't see it.
There's a female one.
Namby-pamby.
Namby-pamby, there you go.
So now we got some like Inception like shit where her imaginary friend has imaginary friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they can see each other. I mean, it kind of bends the rules a little bit with this because...
Yeah. They should each be in each individual child's head.
Right. They shouldn't be able to see each other.
Right.
But that's okay. We can let things slide for a kid's movie like this, I guess, right?
Quote-unquote kids movie.
Yeah.
This is a really black kids movie.
This movie isn't actually really for anyone. Like,
right, that's the thing. Like a movie for grown-ups masquerading as a kids movie is like, there's no audience in there.
Right.
Like,
some movies cross over really well. Like one I saw recently, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
I think it's great for all ages. Like, even for a guy like me, I think my dad would like it. I think my kid would like it. I think everyone would like that movie.
Right.
I think this is one of those movies that's trying to hit those beats, like Gremlins, kind of, you know? I liked Gremlins as a kid. I like it now.
Another movie featuring Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gizmo.
Shout out to Gizmo. Maybe my favorite movie character of all time.
Yeah, Gizmo's pretty
right?
cool.
I like Rambo version of Gizmo.
Oh, he was the best.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people talk shit about the second Gremlins, but I still have a soft spot for it.
Oh, for sure. I think we've even talked about that on here.
Right.
So we'll gloss over that one for now.
Ooh,
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
So she's in the doctor's office.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all seeing everyone. There's like more friends. Everything's still wild. And then at the end of that scene, that's when the doctor gives her the pills.
Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, these only affect the part of the brain that does that, and there's no side effects."
They say they neutralize that part of the brain.
Yeah, they neutralize.
So some portion of her brain is not going to work anymore
But
after
there's
she's
no
taken a
side
full
effects.
bottle of these.
No side
None.
effects.
He makes a point of that. He's like, no, it's fine.
Yeah.
Long
No
history of lobotomies.
Have you guys ever had prescription medication?
That shuts down a part of my brain.
Not like that.
Any?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the kind with no side effects.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
they
okay.
exist.
Check this out. I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here. But talking about this, I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about like prescription medicine, and Joe Rogan's all about conspiracies, kind of, you know. But they made a good point because they were saying there's this one called Abilify, and the whole point of Abilify is to lessen the side effects if you're already on antidepressant medication. Like you have to take medication for medication.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
That's the point of it. Like that's specifically the point. Is like you already have to be on antidepressants, and then that Abilify stuff is to lessen the side effects or make you not want to kill yourself or whatever fucking horrible side effects they
Yeah.
have. It's
That's
fucked
gnarly,
up.
man.
Yeah.
Well, you see the advertisements for antidepressants, and half the time, they've got to list all the side effects. Half the time or more, one of the side effects is suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, that's insane.
And it's like, wait a second, this is an antidepressant. You're telling me it might make my suicidal thoughts worse?
People have killed themselves.
Right? This does not seem like a productive thing to put people on if that's what's happening.
It's like the exact opposite of what you're like trying to achieve.
It's bad enough you're encouraging people with no knowledge of medicine to tell their doctors what they should be getting. But what's even worse, like, what I really want and need, doctor, is this antidepressant that might up my likelihood of having suicidal thoughts. Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I'm glad these no side effect green anti-drop dead Fred pills exist.
Yeah, they have no side effects.
That's the ones I want,
Well, we'll find
She's
out
popping
later.
those left and right later on too.
Absolutely.
We'll find out later they seem to do have some side effects.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it'll make it worse. So she gets the anti-imaginary friend pills, right? So at this point, she goes back to her mom's, and her mom has hired a nurse/security guard who's this giant woman because Elizabeth is clearly out of control, and she needs someone that can physically restrain her if needed. So Elizabeth is kind of on board. She's like, I've done enough damage to the world. I'm going to ignore Drop Dead Fred. And she's on board with them. She's okay with being there and being under control and taking these pills at this point.
Is this where she has the flashback? What's with the cornflakes? I made a note about that.
Yeah. This is where she has a flashback. So Fred's trying to talk her into, escaping and, pursuing what she needs to pursue to be happy again. And he says, remember when you were a kid? And it flashes back to her and Fred. Well, let's start at the beginning of this flashback. There's a lot going on here. So Elizabeth is talking to her mom after Fred has cut her hair when she's a kid, and the dad is there, and they knock over some cereal, and eventually Fred shows up when they both leave the room, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is where the cornflakes part comes in, because Fred starts making a mess of cereal saying he caught cornflakes disease in space.
And he starts spewing cornflakes like from his chest.
Yeah, like projectiling cornflakes all over the room from his chest.
Alien's chest burster style, just flying out of his chest. He has like his shirt pulled back. And
yeah.
There's just cornflakes shooting out of his chest.
Well, you're completely wrong, you know, because I don't love you. Because I don't love anyone, because love's for girls, and girls are disgusting. Because I'm a loner. I'm a crazy, wide-eyed loner on a doomed space mission to Venus to battle with the three-headed mega beast. But on the way there, I caught cornflakes disease.
And as if that's not bad enough, it's revealed that Fred has had plans to make pants pie with Elizabeth, which it includes vodka apparently, but they decide not to do that. They make a mud pie. So they use the mom's finest china, which is like in a cabinet. Mm-hmm. They get mud from outside and they just start wrecking shit in the dining room, like adding mud, adding milk, adding cereal, like putting broken toys on top of this mud pie.
Yeah, just whatever they can find.
Yeah, so of course when the mom comes in the room, she's completely horrified. Where does that lead to, Steve?
It leads into the scene with the mother getting so angry over Fred that she decides to trap Fred inside the Jack in the Box, the one that we've seen at the beginning of the film.
Right.
And she traps Fred in it, and she wraps tape around the box to trap Fred in. And this creates a lot of tension between Lizzie's mother and father. The father objects to this going on. And the tape element also plays into a bit of symbolism in the very last scene, or second to last scene, right at the end of the movie. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fred hides out in the Jack in the Box, and...
That's right, he jumps into it to hide from the mother, and then the mother, knowing, after finding out that that's where Lizzie believes him to be, tapes him into it.
Now wait, before she tapes him into the box when they're making the mud pie, they talk about killing the mother and eating her. And I thought that was really dark.
By decapitation.
Yeah,
right?
they were like,
Fred's
we got the scissors, let's kill her and eat her. And then Drop Dead Fred says, and then we can poop her on the table.
I'm not afraid of the mega beast.
I'm not either. When she comes in here, we'll make her eat up all this mud.
Yeah, and then we'll cut her head off.
With scissors.
Yeah, and then we'll make her eat it.
Make her eat her own head?
Yeah.
With what?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll eat her head then.
And I'll eat the rest of her.
Yeah, and then we'll get up and we'll poo her all over the table, because we're not afraid of anything. Yeah! Yeah!
And I thought that was really dark and just awkward and weird. Like your child's talking about.
I mean, it's a little out there, but you gotta put it in the context of the scene. A little bit before Fred shows up, when her mom's talking to her, she says something really fucked up. She says, "I don't feel like I love you as much as I used to."
Oh, that's right.
Very funny, Elizabeth. Sometimes I think I don't love you as much as I used to.
Drop Dead Fred does.
No more Drop Dead Fred. Period.
And think about this. This is just the kid processing that. Like, in her mind, she's like, I want to kill her. Maybe not literally, but she does act out, certainly.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That was...
The mom is really fucked up. Stuff like that, like the small stuff, it's...
Right.
It's all bad.
Damn, dude, I hope I don't accidentally insult my kid, or my kid wants to murder me because I hurt his feelings.
Straight up emotional abuse, though, right?
So after Fred gets locked in the Jack in the Box, Fred's pretty much gone from her life forever at that point. Yeah. From the age of 5 on, presumably for like 20 years.
Right.
And, Fred says, it goes back to her as an adult, and, Fred's like, do you remember the way she used to be with you? And she's like, yeah, you're right, I got to escape. So they try to escape through the front door, but can't. But her and Fred, they break the window in the bedroom, and they find, there's actually someone in the tree outside the window. Who was it?
Oh, Mickey.
Yep.
Yeah, he was just there in the tree, walking on the branches. Stalking you? Like, there's no reason.
I was watching you.
Yeah, in the tree. Like, he had to climb this tree, and he has like a gift, or he has like a box or something.
Yeah, he has a dress that she had left in the restaurant they were at, that she bought for like this wine thing.
Like, he didn't come to the door. He's like, I'm going to walk up this tree.
He did, but he was turned away.
So he went up the tree.
I like to think he's really turned on by her, and he was just like watching her talk to herself, like jerking off in a tree, like George McFly.
Because we already established she's into crazy women.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe his wife was too buttoned down.
She wasn't crazy enough for him, literally.
Want you and your imaginary friend to go to town on me.
Oh God. They're gonna do it like the pigeons. So they go to Charles's wine tasting party, which is like this fancy hoity-toity party where there's like guys in robes that are super buff walking around serving hors d'oeuvres and
wine that they spit out. Which maybe I missed it, but what is? Oh, he's a car salesman.
Yeah. But he attends fancy
party
things.
Are they going? Like, what is?
It's a wine tasting.
Okay,
that's the normal thing. It's another one of those weird moments of kind of esoteric knowledge, but yeah, that's actually normal because you're sipping all night long and you don't want to get
you don't want to get like drunk.
Yeah,
I thought
maybe some people
like,
don't.
Outdoors,
right?
Just seems weird, like random wine tasting party.
Yeah. So they're there looking for Charles so that Elizabeth can try to get back with him because that's her whole motivation for most of the movie is that she'll be happy when she's back with her husband. So Fred is on the prowl looking for Charles, but instead he finds Annabella. Anyone want to describe how he finds Annabella?
He's crawling around on the floor, and he ends up basically between her ankles, and turns to look up and realizes she's not wearing any panties.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, like, I did, as an 8-year-old, I definitely did not get that joke. I was like, I don't understand what he's so excited about. And then all of a sudden at 13, and it's Jane Fonda, who I had a huge crush on, I'm like, holy shit, no panties.
Yeah. Let me just pause this.
Right? Yeah, we just gotta look here for a moment. It was right, no panty line. Wow.
I think I saw or read somewhere that that was one of Phoebe Cates' good friends. And that's how she got that role.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Charles shows up, and they start talking, but Elizabeth just kind of gets scared and runs away. She doesn't know what to say.
Charles is, like, interested again for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, she just met Annabella, who was the woman that Charles was cheating on her with, but, yeah.
And Fred's screwing with her while she's trying to talk to Charles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's, like, pushing her into her.
Right.
Or into him. So she goes home back to her place with Charles, and he comes home and he decides that he wants to be with her. At least that's what he says.
Yeah, and then they start making out, but he calls her Annabelle.
Yeah, Annabella.
He says Annabella or Annabella.
I'm your fella, Annabella.
And, that does not go very well with Elizabeth.
Yeah. And also, he is told about Fred, who at first he thinks is like a guy that she's seen, and then finds out it's actually her imaginary friend. But they do get back together, and they start going about their normal life together. And Fred's kind of being phased out because Elizabeth has taken the anti-drop-dead Fred pills.
Right.
Yeah. So Fred's getting weaker and weaker as she takes them.
Now, this is where she takes, like, the last one. She's like, for good? Or this is where she decides to...
Yeah, she's gonna take the last one because Fred keeps fucking with him. Like, she goes to like cook him dinner, and Fred like replaces it with like a mud pie.
Oh, the mud pie. Yeah.
Yeah, and the dude obviously isn't happy about that. So she has one pill left, which will supposedly kill Fred forever. But she hears Charles talking on the phone to Annabella again. He's like still seeing her secretly.
Yeah. Well, she takes the pill. She takes a pill to make Fred go away. And then he ends up bouncing around and ending up... For some reason, the apartment that she and Charles live in does not have floor-to-ceiling walls.
Yeah.
The wall that separates the room that he's in from the kitchen where she is only goes up so far as to leave like a 2 or 3 foot gap between where the top of the wall is and where the ceiling is.
And they show Drop Dead Fred like hanging on it.
Yeah, so he ends up bouncing around in pain after she takes the pill and ends up on the top of this wall, straddling the space between these two rooms. And when he overhears Charles on the phone with Annabella, he convinces Lizzie to poke her head in and listen.
That's right.
Yeah.
After she takes the last pill, she like goes unconscious, and she goes into like that dream state.
Right.
Well, she doesn't take the last pill. She's going to.
Okay.
Yeah.
She takes the second to last pill, then immediately is about to take the other one, even though she's only supposed to take them like twice a day. But she doesn't know what to do because, you know, her husband's still cheating. And Fred says, like, come to me. And she, like, collapses on the floor, right?
Yeah, which was that meant to be like she didn't OD, but like she passed out? Or what was that meant to be?
I mean, yeah, I guess she passed. She has taken these pills a little bit too regularly, maybe.
Yeah, I've convinced myself it was a semi-OD.
Semi-OD? That's kind of the vibe I got.
Yeah, as the doctor specifically tells her and her mother when they get the pills, like, take one after each meal and then once before you go to bed. But throughout the rest of the movie, every time Fred's being annoying, she's just popping another pill.
So she's like stressed and just popping pills and she just passes out.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And in her mind, she travels into this, like, weird, surreal world where it's like, her and Fred travel to this world. It's her house, and they encounter Charles driving a Jaguar, and it's like, you know, it's not supposed to be reality. Clearly, it's all this stuff in her mind. Like, she sees Charles, and he's like, "Get in the car, Lizzie, get in the car," but she dispatches him by popping the logo off the car or whatever.
She pulls the hood ornament off his Jaguar, and it deflates like a balloon that's been untied.
Yeah,
that was weird.
They go upstairs and they see the mom, and she's like, "You will stop right there." And what's the line she gives to make her disappear?
"I'm not afraid of you."
Yes, and she, like, erupts into flames.
Right.
Pretty good.
Finally standing up to her. So obviously this is the emotional catharsis. This is the process she really needed to go through in order to get right and get Fred to go away, culminating with what she finds through the door after her mother goes up in flames.
Which is what, Alan?
What does she find? I forget already.
She finds herself masking tape to the bed.
That's what Steve mentioned earlier.
It's herself as a kid, though. It's like her inner childhood that's been, like, repressed since the age of 5.
Yeah, okay, that's it. And it's what Steve mentioned earlier, because the mom tapes the box, but then Drop Dead Fred undoes the tape.
Right.
Yeah.
Her mother, I think it's symbolism for, you know, her mother kind of locked her childhood up inside that box, and likewise kind of had Lizzie's whole childhood
taped
around, right? And Lizzie was freeing her childhood self from the bonds her mother put on her.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
Right.
Now, she frees herself, and, you know, her childhood version is let go, and Fred says, basically, you have to go now on your own. Like, I'm done. My work is done here, more or less.
You have to go alone. I can't get back now. Look, you've got you now. You don't need me. Not anymore. So, goodbye.
Now, Alan, I know you don't like this movie.
No.
But did you have any appreciation for this scene at all?
I mean, like, I didn't hate it, but it didn't do anything for me.
I'm talking to the wrong man. Steve, give me your thoughts.
On the freeing of the tape and her parting with Fred?
Yeah, and Fred's, like, final words.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's something that, like, I've had to reflect on more in adulthood, but yeah, I thought it was fairly poignant. You know, we let ourselves be damaged by our pasts, and you have to be able to let it go and kind of free yourself of the bonds of the trauma you experienced as a child, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
I got the message. Like, it was...
I love that scene. I think it's really heartfelt, and it's the only time in the whole movie that Rik Mayall plays it straight the whole time.
It's true.
And he doesn't end it with a joke or anything.
I noticed that, too.
Yeah.
I thought that. I was like, oh, he's not, like, joking.
And I thought it was, like, to me, really sweet and heartfelt. Maybe it's just my nostalgia for it, but, man...
No, for sure.
It got me right there.
Like, he's so insane, but this is so important and serious. Like, he's, like, being serious.
Yeah. Finally. And she hugs him, and he disappears, and she goes back to her life.
Yeah.
But now she's empowered and assertive.
Yeah.
And she's not going to take any crap.
She is now a strong black woman that don't need no man.
I don't need no Charles.
So she sees Charles. She dumps the dinner on his head.
She dumps the salad on his head.
Yeah, they're very romantic salad.
And she makes a point. She has one more thing for him, and she puts a booger on his cheek.
Empowerment, my friend.
Yeah. There's not.
So Charles is out.
Yep. And then she's driving off into the sunset with a sweet saxophone song playing.
And steals
in his
car.
Yeah. So now add that to the list.
Well, like,
she's stealing a car now.
By the way, somehow...
At least she's conscious of the crime she's committing now.
Yeah. He's a Jaguar salesman. The car he's supposed to have is a Jaguar XJS convertible. That was like an $80,000 car in 1991. Adjusting for inflation, it's over $100,000. I've never met a car salesman. I don't even mean to be insulting, but I've never met a car salesman in my life. Even the guys that were selling Porsches and Jaguars who could afford to own one themselves. That's how the hell did he have this car?
What about Alec Baldwin and Glenn Ross?
Right.
You think he could have that?
He could, but have you seen his watch?
That watch costs more than your car.
Yeah.
Like,
that guy's a closer, man. He knows the ABCs.
Coffee's for closers.
Yep.
All right.
Finally, it ends with, well, it doesn't end here, but she goes home and she kind of she grabs the Jack in the Box as like a token to remember.
Yeah.
And her mom says, like, don't leave, essentially.
I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
And they realize that the two of them have that one thing in common.
Yeah, she's like, oh my God, I become my mom.
Yep.
Just her whole chasing of Charles was always, I don't want to be alone.
Yep.
Yeah.
She tells her mom, I gotta go. You should get yourself a friend.
Right.
And I'm sure the sequel is like her mom and an imaginary friend played by an eccentric British comedian as well.
Could have been an early role for Ricky Gervais.
We skipped over this, but at some point, Carrie Fisher, whose house sunk, remember her house?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
remember your house?
She got a huge payout. They don't say the number, but she got a huge insurance payout for that.
Because she said they classified it as a condominium.
Yeah.
Your house boat was a house condominium. She got an insurance payout because her friend sunk the boat. The insurance just gave her money.
Yep.
And the insurance is like, hey, like, who sunk this boat? We're out all this money, so you're in jail.
No investigation is necessary. Here's a check.
Here's a check. Your boat sunk. Okay, here's some money.
That's how insurance works, right?
Will you settle for double what it was worth?
And we don't care to find out what happened. No one should be in trouble. Even though she purposely sank your boat.
Yeah.
House.
But that was a little bit earlier. She ends up kind of with Mickey, the 90s hot guy. Not officially together, but it kind of seems like that's where it's going. Like she's going to be with him instead. And we see his kid finally, who he's talked about a few times. And now Drop Dead Fred has been assigned to his kid.
I like using the term assigned.
Assigned,
yeah.
Like they go back to Imagination Land, and there's some big boss there. It's like the equivalent of St.
Assignment,
Peter, and
yeah.
he's like, "All right, you're going to go to this kid now."
Assignment 247D.
Right.
Yeah, next.
It's like, which Morty do you belong with?
Yep.
It's like the Rick and Morty's like, what is my purpose?
You serve butter.
Oh my God.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
You help kids with their trauma.
Yeah. You help kids whose parents are divorced.
Oh my God.
Hopefully, I won't need to be with this one for the next 28 years.
Yeah. It's trapped in a Jack in the Box. Not a lot to do in there.
No, boring place.
So that was Drop Dead Fred. That pretty much covers it. I read or saw somewhere that this was actually written for Rik Mayall specifically.
Now, I've heard before that they offered the director's role, and I mean this seriously, I'm not joking. I've heard before they offered the director's role to Burton and the lead to Robin Williams first, and that both turned it down.
I heard that as well. But I also heard that it was written specifically for Rik Mayall, so maybe maybe the studio wanted a bigger name actor, and Robin Williams wouldn't do it, so they gave it to the guy it was intended for. I'm not sure.
Who was the director? What it looked like?
He's a Dutch dude.
Dutch?
Yeah, he's Dutch.
His last name said June. Or
his name's like Eight de Jong, I think.
De Jong, yeah.
Yes.
And most of his other films were Dutch language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He actually won some pretty prestigious awards in Europe, but he didn't have much of a career otherwise here in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah. They were going to remake this movie. There was talks of that for years. In the, sometime after 2010.
Right.
Before Rik Mayall died. Not with him, though, but
Right.
they were going to remake it with Russell Brand.
Oh, God, I'm glad they didn't do that.
Thank God.
I mean, Brand is barely able to stand on his own, let alone be a stand-in for Mayall.
Yeah.
Like,
Screw you guys, I like Russell Brand.
Russell Brand, it's fine. Look, the greatest thing he ever did was marry Katy Perry, but that's fine.
So, one of the reasons that didn't go through is because they had Russell Brand in a remake of another movie called Arthur
Oh, that's
where
right.
Where he plays like the
he
rich
ruined
guy.
it.
Yeah, he's a different kind of man-child, and it flopped, so they didn't move forward with this.
Dudley Moore was not exactly an acting powerhouse, but that role was built for him. You know, I mean, the original Arthur, he was perfect. The sequel was terrible, but the original he was perfect for.
I never saw it.
I never saw it either.
I mean, it's dated. It is what it is, but it's worth seeing. It's still funny. The comedy stands up. Yeah.
One of the one of my personal favorite facts that I found about this movie is that there is a porno parody of it, as there is of everything.
Oh my god!
Anyone want to guess the name?
It can't be better than Shaving Ryan's Privates.
It's not as good as that, but it's up there.
No.
Anyone got anything?
The only things I can think of are really disgusting.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it. Tell me what it is.
Yeah, it's probably weird.
It's Rock Hard Ed.
That's not what I was thinking, but it's pretty funny.
Oh man.
Is it? I'm asking non-judgmentally. Is genuinely out of curiosity. Is that a straight porn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every day we stray further from
Father
God.
from God. Yeah.
Rock Hard Ed. Maybe we'll do that one next time.
Please
Oh my
no.
God.
I could barely make it through this one.
Let's talk about your thoughts, Alan. Tell us your opinion of this movie, final thoughts, and a rating.
Yeah, so my view must have been skewered because I never saw it as a kid. So obviously you guys have a different take on this, and this is the first time I saw it, and maybe I'm cynical now as an adult, but I just didn't get it. Like I got what was going on, not that I didn't get the story, and I kind of figured relatively earlier, halfway through, like, yeah, she's obviously crazy. And I thought at the end they were going to show a montage of her without Drop Dead Fred, like you mentioned, kind of like Fight Club.
Yeah.
Where it shows her doing everything. Yeah. But it was really hard to get through for me. I didn't get why she was so fixed to Charles. It felt like it dragged. There was a lot of cuts, and I didn't like the pacing. Like, it just... I got the story, and the end, like you mentioned, I got that point. It was a little heartfelt. And the one redeeming thing I kind of liked is the quirkiness, because he's, like, random. I always thought randomness is in comedy is kind of the funniest comedy.
Yeah.
Like, I just like when, like, random shit happens. But other than that, this movie really did nothing for me.
What's your rating?
I would give it 1.5 out of 5.
Ooh.
I did not.
1.5 Jack in the Boxes?
Like, I didn't hate it, but I didn't get anything from it. It just wasn't enjoyable.
Well, that's going to be a no from Alan, dog.
That's a no from me, dog. And again, I think some of that is probably just because I never saw it as a kid. Obviously, my view would have been way different if I saw it as a kid, but this was the first time I saw it.
All right. Steve.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I can't claim it's a great movie. I think probably Jaded Glasses to some degree because I liked it as a little kid. I think it's a really interesting concept. I really do. Even now, I think like from an intellectual standpoint, like this woman kind of having a breakdown and resorting back to her childhood imaginary friend. The movie is quirky and weird, and very much at the time it was made. That being said, it is still not really a very good movie. It's just sort of an interesting, quirky, weird one that I find pleasing for nostalgia reasons. So I'd say on 1 to 5 Jack in the Boxes, I'd give it a 2.5. I'd give it a 2.5. You know, which I think is a decent rating.
All right. Much like you, Steve, I grew up on this movie.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of love for it as a kid. There was probably a long period of time when I would have called it my favorite movie.
Yeah.
I like to say that about like any edgy kids movie when I was a kid. You know, someone else likes The Lion King. I like Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, hell yeah.
Someone else likes Bogus. I like Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah.
Watching it again, I still got a lot of love for this movie, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I like it a lot. I don't think it's like a good movie on paper.
Right.
Who was it? Was it Siskel Allen that said this is one of the worst movies he's ever seen?
Yeah, you sent me that review. And
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you cut it out. You made like a meme format where you replaced the text.
Yeah.
This is the worst whatever I've ever seen.
Yeah. I make a lot of memes.
Yeah.
But I am going to give this a 7 out of 10.
No.
I think it's pretty good. I like it. I wouldn't mind rewatching it every couple years.
Yeah, I can
showing
watch
it to some impressionable kids.
Right. I don't think I'd seen it at this point, close to 20 years. That was cool.
I mentioned it a couple times, and I'll just mention it again real quick. I guess maybe part of what I didn't like about it, and this is somewhat preference, is that for some reason, like halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, I was really fixed, and I was sure that they were going to show her without him acting out all the events.
The scene Alan wanted, yeah.
Just like Fight Club. I thought that was the whole point of it. That's what it was.
Alan needed that scene to put it together.
Would that have changed your rating?
Oh, absolutely it would have.
That one edition, really?
Maybe I'll film my own version of that and make it, edit
That
it in.
could be the fan edit. It's like the drop dead Fred equivalent of removing Jar Jar.
Yeah.
You know?
And look, that's not all I had with that movie, but I was really focused on that. I was so sure they were going to show that montage.
And they would have done it first.
Yeah. Because in Fight Club they did it, and that was a great movie. But it's obviously a different movie.
Missed opportunity there.
Right.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode. But before we close off, we're going to draw from the hat for the next episode, just like we did when we landed this one.
Nice.
So hopefully next time we get a movie Alan doesn't hate.
Right. Hopefully this time we'll end up with something someone else picked.
As long as it's not Don't Mess with the Zohan.
No, I won't
hated
sit
that
through that
movie.
movie again, even for an episode of this. I'm not doing it.
My friend Ryan Bosterman and I saw that one summer whenever it came out, and we walked out of the theater on that one.
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't handle it.
Here's my argument for anyone that walks out of a theater. How do you know the rest wasn't good?
That's a fair point. Tell that to all the people walking out of homes in Watson.
That's why I never walk out of a movie.
Right.
I wanted to when I was watching Bumblebee recently, which a lot of people liked, but I did not like.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that, too.
But I was like, no, what if it gets good? It didn't.
It's unlikely. If you hit the 50% mark and it hasn't been good so far, the second half is not likely to catch up. But you never know.
All right, Steve, why don't you draw from the hat?
All right.
All right, here we go. What crazy movie. Hopefully one I at least am somewhat familiar with or don't hate.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right. It could be something I hate. We'll find out here. Oh, no. Three Ninjas.
Okay, that one I can get into. That
Not
one
the
I do.
Hulk Hogan one.
Just the original Three Ninjas? Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right.
Yes. All these good movies lately.
Mr. Miyagi is in it. So.
Three Ninjas.
Yeah.
It's not him.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It's not him. Who is it? Is it Sonny Chiba? Somebody famous,
No.
isn't it?
No, it's
Some other guy.
yeah, I know.
Grandpa.
That one I can get into. I saw that one as a kid, and I liked that one.
Three Ninjas.
All right, man. I can't wait to talk about how they're not showing off. They're playing basketball.
And they're not actually ninjas.
Oh, boy. Okay.
All right, so next time we're going to watch Three Ninjas. Tune in for that. Anyone wants to write in, you can email us at bigdumbmovie@gmail.com. We haven't gotten any emails yet, so I'm on the lookout for that.
Start emailing people.
Yeah, well, come on. What are you doing?
Yeah, tell me how much you hate Drop Dead Fred as well.
Yeah. Sure, there's a lot of people that are going to be on your side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean...
I feel like it's
you guys
not well
loved
loved. The Rotten Tomato score, the critic score is 9%. Well, you know what? Actually, the audience score is 77%. So
I think it's one of those movies where critics hated it, but the audience loved it.
little kids loved
They're
it.
little kids.
That grew up to write in their own reviews. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this time on Big Dumb Movie.
All right, that was fun.
Laters.
The mega bitch squashed my head! The